Pete Davidson has opened up about his relationship with Ariana Grande, and fans are divided. Before I get into the tea, I just want to put out a disclaimer. Please do not send any hate to Pete Davidson, Ariana Grande, Charlamagne Tha God, or anyone else mentioned in this story. This video is simply meant to report on the news and give some insight on the situation. On February 24th, radio personality Charlamagne Tha God uploaded a video where he interviewed Pete Davidson. The wide-ranging interview covered his time at Saturday Night Live, his mental health issues, and his past struggles with addiction. Pete also spoke candidly about his relationship with Ariana Grande. They were engaged shortly after they started dating, and the relationship lasted from May to November 2018. During her Grammy Awards performance in January 2020, Ariana removed an engagement ring and shook her head. When asked if he thought she was shading him during that performance, Pete said, "I'm sure she was. She's the queen of shade. I get it, that's her job, that's her aura." Charlamagne also asked if Ariana would be mentioned in Pete's upcoming Netflix stand-up special. Pete responded, "Yeah, she has a couple punchlines. Stand-up's a part of my life. That was a highly publicized thing. I feel like she got her fair run and her fair stab at it. I don't have social media and I don't really have an outlet to express my feelings. So stand-up's just how I do it. And I just have some jokes about it." Pete said it was frustrating to be known more about his short relationship with Ariana than for his own work. "It's the worst. It hurts. It definitely hurts. Because, I've been doing this for like 10 years, so it sucks for a 6-month thing to just completely take over that." Pete brought up the public response to Ariana's infamous comments about his large genitals. "It's definitely a bit of a punch in the gut. You definitely want someone to be like, 'Hey man, good work,' not like, 'Hey, nice.'" He also spoke about how people thought he was only with Ariana for fame and money. And then people are just like, whoa, is he just getting this because of that, or that because of this? Not a lot of people knew anything about me until I started dating her. So yeah, it's difficult. And he said he knew his relationship with Ariana was over when her ex, Mac Miller, died. "I totally got it, cause we were only together for a few months. She'd even tell you this. I was like, listen, do whatever you gotta do. I'll be here. I literally said, I'll be here until you don't want me to be here." I can't imagine what that is like. That is just terrible. All I do know is she really loved the out of him. And she wasn't putting on a show or anything. That was f***ed up. People had mixed reactions to the interview. Some said Pete was a hypocrite. "It's funny how he decides to talk about it in length, but this past summer, he walked out on a show in my hometown because someone made an Ariana joke. He's a clown," says the man who, during the course of this 6-month relationship, talked incessantly and in absolutely every interview about how hot Ariana is, how much sex they were having, how good this was, how he was off to her before he actually met her, while not mentioning a single thing about any other facet of her personality. Cry me a river, my dude. Others said Pete wasn't as successful as Ariana. Pete is literally one fraction as successful as Ariana. When you are a lesser celebrity that many didn't know existed until Ariana came into your life, what do you expect? He's only this famous because of Ariana, isn't he? I don't remember him before they dated. I don't care what mental issues this dude has. He's a narcissistic whiner, and the less of him I see, the better. One person said Ariana wasn't throwing shade with her Grammys performance. The ring thing wasn't shade. She even confirmed, saying that it was to signify the end of the Thank You Next era, in which she bought engagement rings for her and her friends. And another said what Pete was experiencing is common for women in similar positions. "I feel for him, but women are defined by their relationships or past relationships all the time. So it sucks, but welcome to the club." However, some people said Ariana fans should be more kind to Pete. "I wish Arianators would be kinder to Pete. He's still human, and making fun of his appearance or only referring to him as Pete is harmful. I do feel bad for him. He worked so hard only to have Ari's fans tear him down after their breakup. It wasn't his fault, nor was it hers. Honestly, they're both good people who just didn't fit ultimately in the end. There's no point in taking sides because neither of them did anything wrong per se. Sometimes it doesn't work out." And several people said Pete was respectful in the interview, genuinely feel like he still cares a lot about her, and it was nice that he didn't attack her or behave in a bitter, negative way with his answers. "I love how he isn't really blaming Ariana or anything. He's a genuinely good guy, and the fact that he is being known for just a relationship is sad." The next day, Netflix released Pete's stand-up special, Alive from New York. In the special, Pete made several references to Ariana. He said he initially wasn't going to mention her in the special, but when his friend told him she called their relationship a distraction, he changed his mind. For context, Ariana spoke about Pete in her Vogue cover story in July 2019. She said her friends encouraged her to escape LA and spend time in New York. My friends were like, "Come, we're gonna have a fun summer." And then I met Pete, and it was an amazing distraction. It was frivolous and fun and insane and highly unrealistic, and I loved him, and I didn't know him. I'm like an infant when it comes to real life, and this old soul, been around the block, I still don't trust myself with the life stuff. Pete responded to this in his special. Can you imagine if I did that? My career would be over tomorrow. If I spray painted myself brown and hopped on the cover of Vogue magazine and just started on my ex. Can you imagine if I did that? If I was just like, yeah, I was just her because I was bored, and then Fortnite came out, it would be insane. Something had to happen to her. There had to be some repercussions, right? No, she won Billboard's Woman of the Year, and I got called Butthole Eyes. For context, in August 2018, Barstool Sports tweeted, "Does Pete Davidson have butthole eyes?" Ariana responded, "Y'all do know this man has an autoimmune disease, right? Like, you do understand what you're doing when you do this, right? Just want to make sure. P.S. Butthole Eyes says he's still not doing your stupid podcast you've been begging him to do for 3 years." Pete was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when he was a teenager. Back to the special. Pete made a joke about Ariana's fans. "I don't want any smoke, okay? My biggest fear is I'm gonna get shot in the back of the head by a 9-year-old with a ponytail, and the last thing I'm gonna hear is #cancelled. He also responded to Thank You Next, where he was mentioned as one of Ariana's exes. That song came out and my friends were like, "Bro, I love you, right? It is catchy. It is very catchy. You're gonna have a rough 8 months. I'm sorry. I actually happen to like the song." My grandpa said, he goes, "It's a slap, Peter. It's a slap. I'm really sorry. It's a good song, and I don't even listen to that." And he made jokes about Ariana's infamous genitals comments. "I don't like that she talked all this on, like, behalf of my I thought that was super weird. Can you imagine if I said that? Can you imagine if I was like, sorry it didn't work out. Nice though. I didn't like it because it's just simply not true. She has little hands. Everything's huge to her. It was a joke the entire time we were together. I was like, huge to you, but small to everyone else. This rocks." People reacted positively to Pete's Ariana references and the special in general. Some people said he made good points. Listen, I'm a huge Ariana Grande fan, but even I can see where he's coming from with this. I think he makes a lot of valid points. There is a huge double standard about how she can write off their relationship and make fun of them, and he wouldn't be able to without getting a lot of I also agree that was really inappropriate for her to talk about his body that way during and after their relationship without his permission. Others said he should be allowed to talk about her in his art. Pete Davidson literally mentions Ariana once, and not negatively, and somehow he can't stop talking about her? Where's the logic? Also, Pete has every right to talk and joke about his life, just like she can sing about hers. LOL at the internet once again ripping into Pete Davidson for talking about Ariana as if she didn't repeatedly write songs about him. She's a singer, he's a comedian, both are creative outlets. A few people thanked Pete for calling Ariana out for darkening her skin. Shout out to Pete Davidson for finally calling out Ariana Grande for her blackfacing. No idea why someone who is significant hasn't done so yet, but I believe this photograph can sum it up well. Ariana in spray paint versus my skin color. I'm mixed race. And one person said people should watch the full special. I hope nobody is making negative comments on him without watching the special. In actuality, the tone was never, wow, he's going after her. It was actually more self-deprecating than anything. However, some Ariana fans said Ariana never spoke badly about Pete, so now he wants to play victim? Ariana literally only said good things about your relationship. Pete being a distraction obviously wasn't her intention if the relationship it just happens to be like that. He doesn't understand what it's like to have all that happen to him. At least Ariana did not bash him like that, lol. And Pete wasn't even relevant until he started dating Ariana, and we all know it. Ariana calling her relationship with Pete a distraction is not shading him. Yo, how petty can he be making stupid jokes? That seems to be the end of the situation for now. So, what's the big issue? How you can mourn a breakup in a healthy way. Some breakups can feel as painful as someone passing away, even when no one has actually died. Dr. Trisha Wallinen, a clinical psychologist, says, "It's the death of a relationship, hopes and dreams for the future. The person we are losing was a big part of our world and therefore has taken up so much of our mental and heart space." Dr. Suzanne Lachman, a clinical psychologist, also says, "A relationship can be a living, breathing entity that you and your partner co-create. A relationship can also be a literal chemical addiction, so a breakup joins two of life's most challenging experiences, paralyzing grief and the overwhelming physical and emotional withdrawal from an addiction. It can be especially painful because the other person is still alive and you can easily see or reconcile with them." Grieving is a natural process that happens with any major loss. It helps the brain adjust to the new reality. Avoiding grief can keep you stuck in feelings of loneliness, sadness, shame, guilt, and anger, and you may turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like alcohol or drugs. So, what can you do? It's important to take time for yourself. Keandra Jackson, a licensed marriage and family therapist, says, "My rule of thumb after someone has a breakup is to have a period of detox. This is where you take time for yourself. You do not date. You do not have flings. You do not do anything that would be contradictory to your healing process." She also recommends taking that time to work on your emotional baggage. If you don't address those things head on, you will be bringing the same baggage, issues, and drama into your next relationship. This is where people have a hard time understanding why the same issues keep occurring. As well, you should reach out to family and friends and openly share your feelings with them. There's no strict timeline for grief. It depends on many factors, including your ages and the seriousness of the relationship, but it's important that you take as much time as you need to recover from the loss. Dealing with a breakup in the public eye is never easy. Based on what they've both discussed, there seems to be a lot of things that both Pete and Ariana needed to work through both during the relationship and after the breakup, but it's impossible to know what goes on behind closed doors. As spectators to their relationship, it's important to give them the space to do what they need to do to heal. And since they both work in the performing arts, it's only fair that both of them are able to talk about their personal feelings in their art. What do you think about this story? Have you dealt with a hard breakup? Let me know in the comments below.